Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So you already saw the picture, the little Valentine's bear. So it's so hard to fit this little guy. Well, it's not so little, whoops. Anyway, let's get started. So I am going to use a different color brown. I used a lighter brown before. It doesn't really matter what you use for color. This calls for a 5mm hook, so I'm going to use a 5mm hook. Please use the hook that's associated with whatever yarn you're using to make this. We're going to build from the head down. We're going to start with a magic ring. We're going to put 6 single crochets in there. We're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. First one's always tough to get into. So if you're going to use a stitch marker here, you're going to put it in after the first stitch, not the second stitch. I'm just going to count to 12. So you're not going to need a stitch marker here if you're not using one yet. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet increase. So that's my 1 single crochet, and that's what gets the stitch marker. And then the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. So you should have 18 stitches when you're done. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So at the end of this you should have 24 stitches. So your next 2 rounds is going to be, I'm going to put this on my screen. Your next 2 rounds is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, followed by a 1 single crochet in each stitch. So that's number 1, 2, and 3 single crochets and then an increase. So this will bring you up to 30 stitches, and then your next round you can put 1 single crochet in each of those 30 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. I have already done my 1 single crochet in each stitch for 30. And this round for an increase will bring you up to 36. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and an increase. So after you do this round and it brings you up to 36 stitches, I want you to do the next round of 5 single crochets and an increase if you wanted to work ahead. So this is what you should have. So so we need it to be a little more curvy. So the next 5 rows, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, and that'll curve it, and that'll start cupping it. So it'll start coming around like that and starting to look like a head. So this is what it should look like right now. It does look like it's a big head, but it's going to be a round head, not so much big, but round. So we are going to start with a 5 single crochet decrease because we ended with a 5 single crochet. Well, we ended with 1 single crochet in each stitch, but we ended our increase rows with 5 single crochet increase. So that is number 1. Let me take my row counter off. That's number 1. I turned some of my lights down because I thought it was causing shadow, so hopefully that's better. So it's 5 single crochets including your stitch marker one, and then your decrease. So you're going to go into your first stitch, you're going to yarn over and pull through, go into your second stitch, yarn over, pull through. That gives you 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's a decrease. And repeat. 5 single crochets and a decrease. So continue that all the way around, and at the end you should have 36 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease, and that brings you down to 30 stitches. So that's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. So one more round and we're going to be putting eyes on. So our next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, bringing you down to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. Alrighty, this is what you should have. So I'm going to keep my stuff at the back and I'm going to put the eyes on at the front. So you just need to pick out your eyes, preferably safety eyes because they're nice and safe. I've already picked out mine ahead of time, and I picked out my nose because we're going to use a safety nose as well. Well, I am, anyway. So, according to my instructions, I put them between the 8th and 9th rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 would be here. So I'm going to plunk them in somewhere. And I said 7 stitches apart. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be here. Because we've got to put a nose in between. So I got to do a big muzzle. And he gets no mouth. The mouth is being sewn onto the muzzle. So the only thing you got to put on here is the muzzle. So once you have what you think is what you want, then you just got to put the backs on. And then the nose will attach to the muzzle when we make it. So now these backs just get pushed right down. Now you can get them off if you've made a mistake. You just need to take some scissors and cut that. But I've made mistakes where I've had to fit them. But they won't fall off into a baby's mouth or anything, so nice and safe. So you can put a little bit of stuffing in this. So I like to put my stuffing in and then push out and dig a hole. So I'm pushing all my stuffing out to the edges, and then I'm filling the center. But then I'm doing the same thing. So I find you get a nice even stuff that way. I'm not going to put a whole lot in here because I still have a couple of rows. I've got a few rows to go. So our next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. So we're just getting down to the neck area. So that's number 1. Two single crochets and a decrease. So this brings you down to 18 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease, and that brings you down to 12 stitches. And 12 is usually the number I do for necks. I don't usually go lower than that because I don't make tiny little finger dolls. I make normal size dolls. That's number 1, and then your decrease all the way around. And then you can put some more stuffing in this before we carry on to the body. So that's your head. So we're at the neck area. So I want you to finish stuffing this, or stuff it to what you're liking anyway. And then your next 2 rows is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. You're just making the neck area, and then I'll meet you back here when you're done. So you should have a nice round head like this if you've stuffed it properly. If you can push on it and it bounces back, then it's full enough, even though it's still squishy. So you want it to be squishy and playful for kids, but so we're going to start increasing now. I have my stitch marker right there. So from here I'm going to do a 1 single crochet increase. Build the body. We're building the body on. So that's my 1 single crochet and then my increase. So this is probably going to get a little squishy as we go, but it always does. I'm usually doing it the other way though. I'm usually building the head on. So 1 single crochet increase all the way around, so that'll bring you back up to 18 stitches. It's a little awkward with the head being full, but we'll just work our way around it. Oh, I didn't finish that stitch. Oh, I screwed up somewhere. I knew I screwed up. I'll just put a single crochet in there. I don't know where I went wrong. Actually, I do, right over here. So, your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So when we go from round to round just doing increases, that's because I don't want it to do any cupping. That's why I do that. If I wanted it to start to cup, I would do 1 single crochet. So that's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase. This brings you up to 24 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. That brings you up to 30 stitches. Three single crochets and then your increase. Three single crochets and your increase. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and that'll bring you up to 36 stitches. So this is what you should have at this point, and we're going to do 5 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 36 stitches. So I've got my 5 rows done, so this is about what you should have at this point. So we're going to increase again because we got to make his belly. It's one to have him have kind of a plump lower belly. So we're going to do a 5 single crochet increase, and we're going to be, that'll bring us up to 42 stitches. So I want it to be bigger than its head. So that's number 1. Five single crochets and then an increase. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, and that brings you to 48 stitches. That's about as fat as I want this chunky monkey. That's number 1. That's 6 single crochets and then your increase. So repeat this all the way around. And then you can do 5 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 48 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what it should look like at this point. So we're going to start decreasing. We're going to do 6 single crochet decrease because we ended with the 6 single crochet increase. So that's number 1. Take off my row counter. Six single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease, bringing you down to 36 stitches. That's 5 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. Four single crochets and a decrease. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease and repeat. So this will give you 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, bringing you down to 18 stitches. And then after that, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches. And I'll see you on the other side. So this is what you should have at this point. I'm going to start stuffing mine because I'm going to get ready to close up the bottom. Really want to make sure I get this neck area because I don't want it to be wobbly. And even though the neck it's all crocheted on, it will be wobbly. I don't want to overstuff it though, so not easy trying to stuff stuff. So that's my guy. So I might have overstuffed a bit up here, but I didn't want his neck to be too wobbly. But I gave him a great big fat belly. So we're going to close him up now. I'm probably still going to shove some more down in here. I dug a little bit of a hole. It's going to be hard to show you on camera now. So the next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. And then, that'll bring you down to 12 stitches. And then you can do 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches. I didn't put some more stuffing down here, but at this point we're just going to sew the rest shut, so you can just go into your next stitch, do your slip stitch, and fasten off. So the only amount of tail you need is to sew the rest shut and do a little bit of weaving. So I'm going to put some more stuffing in this. It's going to be mostly just around the outside here. Alright, that's probably enough. So I am going to go through one piece of yarn. I'm going to go in like that, and I'm going to go out like that. Sorry, it is so close to the camera. So in and out, just like that. You don't have to pull tight. I'm going to go in. You just need one piece of yarn. I'm going to go in and out. So you only have 12 stitches. In and out. In and out. You can skip some if you want. Anyway, once you're satisfied, you can just pull on that and cinch it closed. So now it looks like that. I'm going to come across to the other side, just like that, and I'm going to make a knot. So I'm going to go through this loop, and when I pull, I'm going to kind of wiggle it. That tightens that knot right up. That's what your bottom is going to look like. And then I'm going to go down as close as I can to my lead. I'm going to go down and I'm just going to weave in and out, so you can pop out anywhere, but that'll look just like a stitch if you go in close to your lead. It'll just look like a stitch. So 3 different ways, 3 different directions. I'm going to go up here now, and then you can just cut that off. So push down on it, cut it off, so you got no straggler. There's the body. We are going to do the muzzle, and then that's probably it for this video for part 1. So let's get the muzzle done next. Alright, so I'm still using a 5mm hook, and I'm still using the same brown color. So you're going to make a magic ring, and you're going to put 6 single crochets inside that magic ring. Pull it closed. You're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around for 12 stitches, for 12 total. So you can use your stitch marker here. It goes in after the first stitch, remember, not the second. I'm just going to count again. And that's my 12. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet increase, so I'm going to use my stitch marker now. So that's 1 single crochet, and then your increase 2 single crochets in the same space. This brings you up to 18 stitches. So next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's 2, and then an increase. So you can do 3 rows of, you should have 24 stitches, so you're going to do 3 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 24 stitches, and then you can fasten off, and I'll meet you back here after. So that's what you should have. So I'm going to fasten off. So I'm just going to go into my next stitch. I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I need enough of a tail to sew it to my face. We are not sewing this shut. This is going to remain open. We're going to put stuffing behind it as we sew it on. But I still want you to go into this next stitch and pull this through. Pull up. It just makes that look a lot better. So, before we get started, I just want to pull this tight and tie a knot. So I don't tie a tight knot because it'll just slip through the hole. I just tie a knot just to kind of keep it in place, but I don't make it tight so that it's small that it'll go through, and then I can make sure I leave a nubby. So that gets that out of the way and tightens my hole up. So it doesn't matter where you put it, but I'm pretty sure, let me look at my last guy. Yeah, so my last guy, I put the nose, so I have one of these little safety noses. I don't know if you can see that. I put it right above the hole. Well, mind you, you gotta find a spot where you're actually above the hole. I don't know. That seems pretty even. So figure out a spot where it's going to be even, just above the hole, because this is where I come down. I use this stitch above my center hole to make the mouth. So you can put your back on. Where's my back? If you're using one of these. If not, then you know, you're probably sewing it on or doing whatever. So that's my nose. Let me get some of my black. So I'm just using regular yarn. I'm not using anything fancy. So this is open. You don't really need to tie a knot. You can do whatever you want though, but I'm not going to tie a knot. I'm just gonna... So I found my spot where I wanted to start, which was right below the nose, as best as I can get right below the nose. So I'm going to go down to where I want my mouth to go down, which is just going to be right there. And I'm going to pop out over here where I want my smiley mouth to be. So it all depends on how big of a smile you want on your mouth. So then I come back down into this same hole over here. I'm going to go down and I'm going to pop out where I want the other side to be. So I got to try to make it even. I think I don't know. I don't know if that's completely even, but so when I pull, that leaves that side, and then I come back down this side like that. So now that's not even. Well, that's a little better than it was. But you can figure out how you want your mouth. My last one was way bigger. Anyway. So I'm just going to tie these two pieces together. I'm not going to make it tight or anything. I'm just making a knot. Double knot. Not a tight one. I'll just leaving nubbies. Cut off that. So that's what I got on the inside. I just got little nubbies. So now that my muzzle is done, you need to figure out where you're going to put it. So keep in mind, we're putting stuffing in this. So I'm going to start off with some stuffing. But I'm going to stuff it as I sew it. But I am going to start off with some, because it gives me a better idea of where the muzzle is going to go on the face. So you want it at least equal between the eyes, but not so far down that it's at the chin. So these pins I'm using are called wig pins, and they're really great for holding stuff in place. You can get different sizes. I think they're really good for holding stuff in place. So now you just gotta sew it on. So it's very hard to sew on camera. I'm going to do the best I can. So that's all the stuffing I'm putting in for now, but I'm probably still going to stuff it some more. So I'm going to do invisible stitches. So that means I'm going to go down into the doll as close as I can to the nose. And then I'm going to come up into the nose, into one of those stitches. Actually, I'm just kind of above one of those stitches. So when I pull, that gets sucked in underneath my nose. I got to pull up, and it gets sucked in underneath my nose. So I'm going to do that all the way across for every single stitch. Every single stitch. Not every other stitch. And I'm going to have to, because of the stuffing, make sure that I'm... So it helps to have a needle like this with a little hooked end to be able to do it. Oh, sorry, my yarn got stuck on my tripod. So these are invisible stitches, and you'll notice once you're done that you're not going to see them. They're just going to look like stitches. But if you don't hit every single one, they're not going to look like stitches. So that just looks like stitches right now. So I'm still kind of guiding where the nose is sitting. So that's it so far. So that just looks like stitches up there, and not sewing stitches, like stitches. But I'm still trying to keep a shape as I go. Just taking my time. I am in no hurry. It's a huge pet peeve of mine to watch a tutorial where they whip through the stitching part. They're moving so fast. They're in such a hurry. It's like, if you don't have time to make a tutorial, please don't, because I need to see the sewing part. I suck at sewing. So if I can learn how to sew better, I need to see that. But everyone just rushes through that part, whether you're watching something about, you know, a knitting machine. Sorry, my camera shuts off after 10 minutes. So I gotta kind of turn it up like this to get the bottom. But I'm still hitting every single stitch. Now I'm gonna have to start putting stuffing in there. Because that's all I got left. So I'm going to take my pins out. All I got is that much left, so I got to put some stuffing in there. So fill it till you're comfortable. with how much is in there. I like mine nice and round. Just like that. I think that's super duper cute. So I will just finish. To look up every once in a while, make sure I'm still on camera. I am bad for wandering off a camera. So I'm on my last stitch. There we go. So, looking closely, you can't really tell that it's sewn on. It just looks like crochet stitches. So once you're done, you can just go into your nose and you can pop out wherever to just weave back and forth a couple of times. Once you're satisfied, then you can just push down on that, cut that off. And there you have it. Your muzzle is done. So, thanks for joining me in this part 1. I will see you in part 2, where we'll do the ears, the arms, the heart, feet, legs, and the bandana, the rose. We'll do everything else. So everything else will get finished in part 2. I don't know if I did actually show you, but I made these feet to look like a heart. Now, it kind of loses its definition once you start building it, but they are heart feet. So, they're just not very defined heart feet. Because I think that might have been the way I stuffed it. Anyway, we'll do that in the next episode.